Jason.
Yes.
I'm so glad you told me.
See how they go. This will receive it everything to me.
Yeah.
Keep it neat. That's find her something else to do.
That's good for you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and open the council meeting. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call please, Carol.
Steve Beardsley is absent. Mike Bright is absent. Brant Fuller.
Here, present.
Joe Palmer.
Present.
Megan Sheets.
Present.
Clarence Worthen.
Present.
Eric Woods.
Present.
Okay, we have the minutes from the December 28th regular meeting.
I'll make the motion, we approve the December 28th minutes.
Second.
Who was the second? Eric? Any questions, comments? Okay, roll call please.
Brant Fuller.
Yes. Aye.
Joe Palmer.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Steve.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, were there any public comments? Nothing? Okay, thank you.
You could.
Does anyone have anything under old business tonight? Okay, then we'll move on to new business, and since this is the first meeting of 2022, we need to have an election of our president pro tem of the council.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, we again appoint Eric Woods as president pro tem of our city council.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call please.
Brant Fuller.
Aye.
Joe Palmer.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Okay, Eric, you got it.
Folks.
Thank you. Thank you for all that you do for the council. Next, I have down about the Councilmatics. We sent out the 2021 Councilmatic Committees. I didn't know if they had anything that they just were interested in changing or doing different. So if they remain the same, I'll just bring a new one next time that we meet with the 2022. So. And then also, we have several different appointments that I think are up for vote or by consensus. And I believe these are the ones that we do annually. The first one is the Partners in Progress, PIP. And currently Eric Woods is our representative for the council.
And if anybody else feels led that is familiar with PIP and would like to take that on, I'm more than willing to share that responsibility. But I'm also willing to do that. Just wanted to put that out there.
Years ago, we used to have the primary, and then we had an alternate, just in case primary couldn't go to a meeting, somebody else could go. Not that I wanted.
Sure.
But
Well, I
was throwing
tell you
that
what,
out
like I said, anybody that feels led to do that, and I know you've been to some of them, I'm happy to share that. The city is well represented, also with the mayor there as far as explaining what all's happening and, considering what PIP does. I think between a council representative and the mayor, that board is well informed. So it does not have to be one particular person if someone else, again, feels led to do so.
Do we want to make motions? Want to do this by consensus? What's the pleasure of the council? I don't remember if we took.
You don't
votes.
mind staying on, Eric?
So I'll stay on, that's fine.
I'll make a motion that we keep Eric Woods on there on pay.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Brant Fuller, Joe Palmer,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Aye.
Clarence Worthen,
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, the next one we have is the City Plan Commission, and currently that is Megan Sheets.
I'm happy to remain on city plan.
I move to retain Megan on city plan.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Brant Fuller,
Aye.
Joe Palmer,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Abstain.
Clarence Worthen,
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, Megan, you're back on for another year.
Mhm.
Next, we have the Insurance Committee, which is currently Steve Beardsley and Megan Sheets. And I believe Steve is still interested in being on that unless somebody else wants to do it. I talked to him the other day and I think he would be willing to stay on and make it on.
And if nobody else wants to step in, I'll again agree to serve.
I can't see us in changing it.
Okay,
They've got their feet wet now, so,
is that a motion?
yes.
Okay. Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Brant Fuller,
Aye.
Joe Palmer,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Aye, or abstain, I'm sorry.
Clarence Worthen,
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, the Economic Development Commission is currently Mike Bright. I guess I have not talked to him about that. Has anybody else or?
He's not here to defend himself. I'll make a motion, we keep.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Brant Fuller,
Aye.
Joe Palmer,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Aye.
Clarence Worthen,
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, next we have the Redevelopment Commission, and currently on there as council appointment is Joe Palmer and Todd Corey.
Mayor, I did speak with Todd and Joe both, explaining Mike Wright's desire to serve on that board. Todd was very understanding that another council person would like to be on there, and said he'd freely step aside and not ask for reappointment to allow him to freely do that if no other councilors is interested. And after talking to Joe, we feel that would be a good addition to the board. So I would like, again, if no other councilors would like to put their name in for it, I'd like to make a motion to name Mike to replace, or to succeed rather, Todd on the RDC. And also rename Joe.
Joe, okay.
I'll second.
Yeah, I have no problem staying on, so.
I think you already
Yeah, I don't think
nominated
I know.
And I'll second that motion.
I thought you were the redevelopment.
you. Roll call, please.
Brant Fuller,
Aye.
Joe Palmer,
Abstain.
Megan Sheets,
Aye.
Clarence Worthen,
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
So call for the vote.
Yes. So next we have Solid Waste District.
I'm gonna make
Currently-
that easy. I'll make a motion
Oh,
that stays on.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
That's fine.
Brant
I'll
Fuller,
volunteer. Aye.
Joe Palmer,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Aye.
Clarence Worthen,
Abstain.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, that was
I
easy.
think we're just missing one, the regional development
Oh.
representative. Clarence, you currently serve.
Clarence is that.
That's what I do, yes.
That's a one-year appointment too, if you want to stay on that one.
That's fine.
That's what I did.
That region,
Make a motion to retain Clarence in that position.
I'll second.
roll call, please.
Brant Fuller,
Aye.
Joe Palmer,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Aye.
Clarence Worthen,
Abstain.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
I think we probably have all of them now. I think we've got
I think
everybody.
that's everything.
I think so. I do know that we need a new representative. Don Stark was gonna bring that with me for the
Yeah, he's
city employee, and he's gonna bring it to the next meeting.
for the city plan.
Yeah, for city plan. So, I think Kevin Catherine's going to go ahead and get that up, so. Anyway, also I want to invite everyone to the park. I don't think Bart's here. On the 12th at 1 o'clock, they're going to bring up the plaque to make that a historic preservation, historic, remember?
It's a
Maryland-
national
the
historic.
Yes, National Historic.
And it's already been
DAR.
approved, but we are now receiving the plaque that goes with that
Yes.
nomination to the National
And
Historic.
Maryland, Shake, I think, is gonna be there along with,
I'll be there.
you'll be there, okay.
Is it tomorrow?
It's Wednesday. at
Wednesday
1.
at 1, at the park office,
At the clerk's office.
at the park,
Oh,
park office.
Okay, and that's at 1.
Yes,
Okay.
if anybody wants to be there. You got it down?
I got it.
Okay.
I don't see the press. I did contact Aaron Kennedy on that.
Did you? Good, good. And Brett, you might want to let him know. He probably is not gonna be back. He had another meeting to go to, so.
Any word on Ken, how he's doing?
No, when I talked to him last, he was still in the hospital, but he was hoping to go to Clinton House and I have not heard, so. Right, yeah, we miss him. Next, we're gonna have a discussion on the sanitation department. Jason Forsythe's here tonight, street superintendent, along with Jerry Hickman and Nikki. We're gonna discuss, Jason has come to me and also to the Board of Works concerned about being able to get part-time employees. He currently is budgeted for 5 part-time employees, but we think we've figured out a way that he could go to 3 full-time employees, probably get actually more coverage and maybe be able to get some applicants. We're struggling. He is not able to keep part-time employees. So I'm gonna have Jason talk to you a little bit. Jerry's here as well with Nikki to talk about the financial side of it and the difference that it would be.
Thank you, Mayor. As the mayor said, obviously, it's not new news, what the department's going through, trying to get part-time employees to stay around. It's been a difficult task for the last probably 3 years anyway. But with Jerry's help and the mayor and Carol, we've all sat down, and Megan as well, to talk about what we'd like to see happen. And I think you have in your packets there some information that Jerry put together for us in reference to, I guess I'll just go down the list. Obviously, we know about the user fee rate increase for the next 3 years. The proposed $50,000 additional appropriation for dump fees. The city has had, I know for the last 3 years anyway, if not longer, had to borrow from health insurance, quite a bit of money that had to be moved from health insurance into the dump fee budget. I know we have raised the dump fee budget a little bit in the past. Eric spoke on that a couple years ago and got it up a little bit, but we're still struggling. I think we had to use about $67,000 out of health insurance this year just to be able to pay our dump fee line at the end of the year. So that's the first proposal that we're looking at here tonight is to raise the dump fees up from, I believe it's 210 is what it was supposed to be. With the $50,000 additional, it would be the $260,000 that you see for the 2022 amended budget.
And Jason, you might mention to them, you did get something from Wampler and somebody else that we already know there's going to be an increase.
I can't remember. I think I CC Joe, maybe Eric, I can't remember, but about the raise. It's a 53-cent per ton raise. I think I gave maybe a copy to it, and then a $5 raise in each time they come and grab our roll off, take it to their place or take it directly to the landfill. It's a $5 additional fee per time. I can't tell you how many of those they do per year, quite a few, but it is 53 cents a ton higher for the tonnage. And I haven't heard from Clinton County disposal yet, or Clinton County landfill yet. Walnut Creek, I guess, is the name of it now. But I haven't heard what their raise is. Normally they'll raise according to whatever the county does on their end. So we haven't seen that raise, but there is some additional coming up. And Warner's hasn't contacted me, but that obviously has a bearing. The recycle that we have to pay for has a bearing on, what we pay out of that user fee line as well. We are paying $25 per ton to drop off over there now. At times we can get money back from what we recycle a little bit at the shop, but we're never in a situation where we're actually making money anymore. Also, in your packet, $6,144 additional appropriation is the immediate financial impact that they'll have. That's going from 5 part-time employees down to 3 full-time employees. Speak on that right now, just going back to what I spoke about earlier, is I don't know when the last time I actually had 4 part-time employees at the shop. I don't know when that's been. We've been down to 3. And when we went down to 3 this last time, because of what I was speaking with the mayor and Carol about before, and obviously Jerry and Mickey was, I wanted to stay there because if we were able to do anything with this, I didn't want to let someone go. Recently, the last 2 times we've tried to hire, on top of that, the first time they didn't show up, and the second time they didn't show up for their first day of employment. So we paid for drug tests, we paid for background checks, and obviously every background check, every person we want to hire, we have to pay those kinds of fees for. And the last several times we haven't even been able to get anybody through the front door for a day's work. And before that, the one before that, just stopped coming to work after a couple of weeks. Never got a phone call or anything. So those are the things we're kind of dealing with. But the overall financial look that Jerry prepared, as you can see in 2022, the projected rate of $14 is $953,044. 2023 at 16 is $1,089,193, and then in 2024, which I believe is the first year, the final year before we start taking care of the annexation, is $1,225,342. So obviously looking at those numbers, the first year, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is all with us continuing to be able to go through and take care of our capital purchases as well that you guys have allowed us to do in the past several years.
Yes,
You
that's.
included that.
That's all included in this. So the next slide here just talks, or the next copy of the page here just talks a little bit about what we talked about on the proposed dump fee. I guess while we're talking about our dump fees and things, as we get into that 2025 year, and I think it's shown on the very last page, maybe, you'll start to see that that upward slide start to even out, and then years after that, it'll start to go down again. So we're obviously at that point in time going to have to look at a raise in user fees again. So we're not back into the same predicament that we're in now from years past. But obviously, it's self-explanatory what it's going to do for my department. It's going to give me extra hours. And I'll be honest with you, the full-time guys, even though their job description says so, as part-time employees, they spend a lot of time on the back of the trash truck. It's probably the toughest job in the city. It's not the most dangerous job in the city, but it is one of the toughest in all aspects of weather. But we're not being able to keep people. But this will allow the 3 people that we're looking to hire full time will remain guys that are working on the back of the trash truck. But as of right now, our full time guys are on the back of the trash truck doing that, and they earn their opportunity to get off of there. And this will obviously help with that. At the same time, it will give us the opportunity to put more people out doing other things. And right now, we're not able to do that.
Because these 3 people you would use consistently for on the back of the trash truck.
Yes, ma'am.
And that would be at $14 an hour, which is less than what we pay our other laborers at this time. But like he's saying, he's having to take his other laborers put them on the back of the truck because they can't get part-time people who should be on the back of the garbage truck. You know, that's what our plan would be, is to have them so that your other laborers can do other things that you need them for.
There's not a lot of people driving to Frankfurt for $12.50 an hour and 28 hours a week. Obviously, you know that. There's not a lot of people driving here and going to work in a factory for $17 an hour. So, you know, we're just struggling really bad out there. Morale's been damaged a little bit because of it, and I can understand that. But they all understand, you know, that we have to get that work done, and they've stepped up to the plate and done so. Don't think on top of that.
When you look at that chart that Jerry prepared, Jerry, if you want to talk to us a little bit about that, but you also included the annexation and those type of things.
Yeah, there's just so many different moving parts with sanitation, and this third page is really where the rubber meets the road. It includes those user rate increases that Jason mentioned, the $2, you know, this year, $2, next year, $2, the following year. All of that is factored in here. The additional appropriation that was mentioned for both the personal services and for the dump fees is also included in here. And then you can see in 2023 and in 2025, we have projected capital. So I know the intention from the get-go, as far as with the sanitation fee and the user rate increases, was in a nutshell to help the sanitation fund be self-funded. As Jason mentioned, dump fees have been an issue in the past as far as underfunded, which has resulted in transfers from the health insurance fund, which then put more on the general fund. So those user rates were definitely needed. Based off the numbers, it looked like they were long overdue. But those user fees not only helped with the self-funding, but is also building cash for the capital. And then even factoring in going from the 5 part-time to 3 full-time, you can see that it's also, there's the 1 year in 2023, the rates aren't all the way up to the $18 rate, but there's a little bit of spin down there, but it is growing cash in the other years. As Jason mentioned, in 2025, we do include a little bit of revenue increase for the addition of the annexation, covering those homes, but the revenues level out from there. But as you guys know, expenditures, those are going to continue to increase, and if dump fees increase for the city as well, it's just something that you may have to consider, you know, moving forward down the road if looking at rates again. But overall, I mean, things look pretty good, and definitely what the council intended for the user rate increases. But real quick, the chart, it's summarized version of the big financial plan that you guys get. Definitely in simpler format here, just showing the beginning cash, the user fees would be the revenues, and then the expenditures, which includes everything that was discussed, and then the surplus deficit. And as mentioned, 2023 is the only year there's a big capital purchase there that cash decreases slightly, but rebounds in future years. And then we have some additional notes as far as some assumptions. We do have a 2% personal services growth factor in there year after year, and then a little bit higher for the other services and charges where dump fees and health insurance would be budgeted. Just a little bit more of a buffer there. And those were the assumptions we used, but based off of that, everything looks pretty good.
Is that 100% usage of the appropriations every year too?
Yes.
In which we don't normally do that. So probably all those figures would be a little bit of an increase.
Sanitation's
It's a little closer in there,
different. Just,
yeah.
if anything, it may be unused historically from personal services if you haven't hired the full budgeted amount. Sounds like that's happened in the past. But for the most part, because of the transfers and dump fees being, the budget being less than what is really needed and having to transfer from health insurance, typically it's closer to 100% spent. But yes, this is including 100% of the budget being spent.
And as far as the salary line for that, if we would use what he has for part-time now, is for these $14 an hour people, there would be, we figured approximately $4,000 left over there. The only thing that's going to be different would be in the per which because they're full-time, they go to PERF, and that's where that 6,000, whatever it is you told us, would come in to cover the PERF payments for them.
We're also gonna have insurance.
Well, here's the thing, and I don't know if you guys realize on insurance or not, how that's a figure, it's not a true figure anyway, because we're partially self-insured. So we just take a percentage of that, and so we don't know whether sanitation is really using that much of the insurance or whether they're not.
Right.
They would have, 10 employees at that time if you had full-time. And if they didn't use the insurance or very little of it, that could be, $100,000 a year, or if all 10 of them hit the 100,000, that'd be $1 million, they couldn't afford it anyway. So the way when we figure insurance is we just take what the total cost is for the year, percentage is taken out of sanitation, the other percentage is out of city general. It's not equally, we don't sit down every month or every week and say, okay, this comes out of sanitation, this comes out of city general. It's just that they just make a contribution.
It's kind of an educated guess rather than
Sure.
true
Yeah,
figure.
yeah.
I'd say looking at these green numbers, the surpluses, there's still some wiggle room in there, for health insurance if there happen to be, higher claims and stuff coming in.
And this year, our insurance stayed pretty much the same, didn't it, for the premiums, because we're partially self-insured, we don't have that monthly premium for everyone. It's just projections. And I think we ended this year with, 100,000, 90-some?
It was 90 something.
90
It's good.
some $1,000 left this year, so we're doing really, really well on insurance.
Now, I remember, either last year or year before, we had used about $500,000.
400 and some thousand
Extra,
dollars.
yeah.
Yes.
So,
Fortunately, these last 2 years, we've done really well. So,
hopefully we don't have another year like that for a while.
Our employee health clinic, I think, has helped.
Knock on wood.
I think that's really been helpful to us because a lot of people started using the health clinic.
That helped.
Yes. And so I think there's just a lot of things that have contributed to that. So I feel pretty fortunate on our health insurance. What we would have to do is, if this is the direction that you would like to go, is we would have to make an amendment to the salary ordinance where we would put in 3 full-time, and I don't know if we've really decided what we would call them, at $14 an hour. So they would be separate from the other laborers that you have. So we would amend that salary ordinance. We would use the part-time line to pay them and then move down that $4,000 that would be left over into the FICA perf line, and then do an additional appropriation of $6,400 to cover that perf.
Another thing, if I could, I would mention is, when we first started talking about annexation, we had talked about possibly adding 4 full-timers when we did annex. I, asked Jerry not to put that in here, but I did want to mention it, at some point in time in annexation, we may look to add a 4th, but this will get us in great shape for now and get us through the next 3 years in really good shape. So, and on top of that, as I spoke about capital improvement plan, obviously, basically what we buy capital wise out of that fund is just trash trucks. And, by what you guys have allowed us to do in the past, we're in pretty good shape. So we won't need anything in 2023, which is where I think we're going to take the biggest hit. We'll be fine. We'll probably purchase one in 2024, I think. And go from there, and we'll be in good shape trash truck wise.
So there's that possibility in 2023, that 185,000 could scoot over to 2024. And
We
then
had
that was,
originally scheduled it for 2023, but, because we didn't do anything this year, but,
that would make a huge difference, wouldn't it?
one of the things is, we've always been able to do with capital is kind of move it around the way we need to. And, we'll just have to see how things go, but we got one that's in really bad shape right now, and the rest of them, I think is probably 2006, and after that, it's probably 2012 and above as far as years on the trucks that we're using now. So
I just know that it's been a real struggle. for the last couple of years.
Jason, are the three part-time employees now, are they interested in full-time employee? So they would be happy if we,
Extremely.
okay.
Jason, I forget for sure, how many hours versus like if you, didn't we figure out you had more hours for you?
Yeah, we would have actually
I don't remember.
120 if we go to 4 full-time or 3 full-time, sorry. And then versus right now, we basically, well, I have one part-timer that's working out in the shack, so we're not able to use her on the back of the truck. But it would be 84 hours versus 120.
Yeah.
We would have.
If we would get it, we would go to those 3 full-time versus part-times.
I would say let's get the amendment ready.
Okay. If I
I
get
would
a
agree.
consensus from
I
the
would agree with that.
council.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what we'll do is we'll come to the next meeting with the amendment to the salary ordinance and then work towards getting that passed so then you can hire them as full-time. And then we'll have to do an additional, now, the additional appropriation of the 6,000 for her, if you want to go ahead and get that ready. Okay, what about the 50,000 for the dump? Do you want to go ahead and just do it all?
I do it all once.
Okay, is everybody in agreement with that?
You know,
Okay,
if we don't, we're gonna be
We're gonna
coming
be
back
back
and
again,
visiting
yes.
constantly, trying to get everything.
so, Carol will go ahead and get that ready and to do the 2 additional appropriations, the amendment, to the salary ordinance. Jason,
Thank you.
ready to go on
Appreciate
this?
that. I know you guys appreciate that as well.
Now, a question, does any of this take out of the general fund? Or is it all just a new appropriation?
Yeah,
For the $2 trash fee, or
it's all out of that
it's all
$2.
coming out that increase?
Sanitation is a self-standing
Yeah,
fund, so there's no
It's
general
all
fund.
out of the users.
Yeah,
Okay.
all users.
Okay, so it's not gonna put any strain other than insurance and benefits will increase on the general fund, right?
No, because right now we've been taking 50 to 60,000 out of the insurance line and sanitation anyway. So if you do the 50,000 additional, we'll be able to keep that in here for the year. So if anything, that's gonna help city
Okay,
general.
okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the users fee has picked up everything for sanitation,
Yes,
all the way through.
So that's what we're trying to do.
which was the intent,
Which
yeah.
includes dump fees, right?
Well, that's why, yeah,
Yes.
that's why we were so far behind
Dump fees is,
from years ago, things that we didn't get accomplished years ago, and we're making up for that. And it's starting to be in our favor.
It's kind of one of those things, if you don't keep up on it, it eventually catches up with you, where we are today.
And our committee, street department committee had seen that, that's why we went and imposed this $2 increase for the next 3 years, so.
okay. I know we see it in electric rates, we see it in the water rates,
Yeah,
we need to do it more often.
that's right,
less-
do it more often, less at the time, and then it's not such an impact to the citizens.
Lessens the impact.
You know, and Walpole's been a great partner with us, because I know in the past, John has only raised us a lot of times what he's getting on his back end too. And because he could go a lot higher than what he's doing. He's been a good person to work with, and helpful for me with questions when we first started and things like that. So, you know, but it just needed to be mentioned that we did have that increase from him. So.
And, you know, we do have a great street department, and Jason's got the schedule worked out for 2022, and we're gonna do the trash pickups during the holidays a little bit different this time, and the guys out there, you know, gone along with that, that's what they agreed to as well.
Yeah, we're gonna start picking up, we're not gonna do any double pickup for trash any longer. So if you talk to your constituents, they're gonna work the holiday. So we might have to put out any press releases. Kimberly will get a little bit of an easier time for a while, and we're gonna pick up on that day. It's just, as you've probably seen during New Year's and Christmas especially, shooting down Washington Avenue on Friday, people still put their trash out. And, you know, people get into a habit. And I think, you know, the guys wanting to go ahead and do it that day, we're gonna get our volunteers coming in, they'll come in and do it and get out on a holiday. And they can still go home and spend time with their family. They don't have that it's very difficult when you do a Friday pickup for a Thursday, Friday. It keeps us hopping, and a lot of times we're not done by 4 o'clock. So, yeah, that's, that they've done that. Did you want me to talk about paving or anything?
Yeah, would you, just give us a little update on that and where we are, what we did, you know, the bid that we accepted, and
Yeah, we had a special meeting, the 30th, I believe.
Yes.
And we awarded the bid to Reeve Riley. Bids came in pretty close, I think. I think there was one bid that was a little higher than the other two. We were able to do all 23 projects at a I think it's 912,000 and some change. I don't remember what the change was, but so we're excited about being able to get those 23 projects done. And then on January the 4th, I found out that we're now to the first call for 2022. So I am now working to on that grant for 2022-1. And we'll have 325,000 that we'll be putting up to double the 650,000 in hopes to obviously maybe a different contractor. You gotta go through that whole mess again too, but it may be a different contractor, but either way, if we're able to accomplish both of those, we'd be doing just a little over 1.5 million come March, April, which we all know that infrastructure is something that we're all concerned about, the constituents are concerned about, which is, by all means, something they should be concerned about. So it's pretty exciting to be able to have that opportunity. That was kind of what my plan was. I was kind of wanting to pave in October and pave again in April, March or April, but $1.5 million in paving is going to be a lot of work for a lot of people, but it'll be exciting at the same time. So that closes on January 28th, and then we'll have to wait to hear back. Usually a couple months to hear back what we find out from that standpoint. So it's kind of a cool thing that's going on, and the guys are excited about that as well. They hear it as much as we hear it, and so they're excited about that. And while I was on that topic, I did want to let someone know, as you all know, we worked hand in hand with Butler, Cameron, and Seifert with our pager ratings over the past several years. And Mike May was a good friend of mine, but was also a great guy to work with. And he passed away a couple weeks ago suddenly, or last week. So it's been difficult for me I'm starting to work with somebody else, and I had to call, in a really difficult situation and find out, well, who's doing Mike's job now? And he's a good dude. He's always been fun to work with, and like I said, just a good friend of mine too. So we're hoping, like I said, I cannot remember that gentleman's name off the top of my head that I'm working with now, but I've done some stuff with him with MBH in the past, and super guy to work with, and so we're looking forward to doing that and getting all that taken care of. Our every job that we're looking at doing that we're going to be doing in 2022 that we just finished up giving the contract to is all Pager 2 rated roads. Obviously, I've talked about that in the past, 0 to 10, 0 being absolutely awful, to 10 being something that's what Washington Avenue Phase 2 is now. So they're all 2 rated roads. We look at obviously a lot of different things with a lot of people involved. And I and Carol and the mayor and Megan sat down and looked at 13 more, I think. Well, we looked at, I think, 11, and I added a couple more and let them know what we added, but to try to do with the money that we would get if we're able to accomplish the CCMG for this first go around this year. So yeah, pretty cool stuff, and it's nice to be able to take advantage of that opportunity.
I'm excited about it. We're getting a lot of those side streets, like off of Washington Avenue and also off of State Road 28 West. So you're gonna have the new streets along with the side streets that are gonna have the new paving.
I don't know, I agree with the mayor. I don't know if you got seen Kimberly's release that she put out. I think it is on our website now, or is going to be, what projects we're gonna do. If you need a copy of that for anybody, let me know. I can email you that as to what the 23 that we're gonna be doing this first go around, and then we'll see how the quotes come in for these other 11 to 13 that we're looking. We are looking to do Washington Street. I will tell you that. That's one of the big ones that we've kind of put off. We've had a lot of discussion. Joe and I have had discussion. Megan and I have had discussion. Steve even talked to Eric about it. But I think it's time that we at least get Washington Street done. And we're looking to do it from Jackson all the way out to basically Center Drive. Obviously that's a good stretch of roadway. You're probably looking at a quote of about $240,000 to $250,000 just for that stretch of road. But it does give us some, another $400,000 if we're able to accomplish that grant. It does give us that other 400 to do some other things.
And we did have a reason for not going ahead with Washington Street as well, is because Washington Avenue was going to be down, 28 was going to be down. We couldn't really close another street off. And besides, once we had it paved, all that extra traffic on there was just going to ruin what we did. So to me, Washington Street's like top of the list here that we need to really take a look at and hopefully be able to do that. But
whose area is the Domino's area? Is that yours, Joe? Okay. I did want to speak on that. I brought that up to Megan and Mary and Carol the other day. That little alleyway that runs next to Domino's Pizza is obviously in really poor shape. Probably
Who drives on there?
I don't know, I seen a car go in the other day, never did come back.
But what we don't have going for us there is that can't be part of a match, because that's considered First Street. I don't know if any of you knew that, and that's considered part of First Street. I tried to do First Street and looked at it well, not First Street, we tried to do that section of road in the past and found out that that's not in our MBH, and that's something we need to work on getting. But at the same point in time, the 912,000 that we had came in basically $16,000 under what we had available to us. Now, 8 of that 1,000 has to go back to MDOT. They're not going to give it to you for nothing. But that does open up the other 8,000 that we had as part of our city money. And I've already spoke to Reef Riley about possibly doing something when they're here to maybe take care of that little section right there, because 8,000 would almost take care of that. But we just need to see what's going on. But I think, if that 8,000 is already geared towards that, like I said, we'll have to give the other 8 back, but that would be pretty close to being able to, and they're going to be in those areas anyway. So the milling price shouldn't be that big a deal. There's obviously not going to be any mobilization. They're already going to be here. So hopefully that'll work out, but that's the game plan for that other 8. That's all I got.
okay, sounds
I
good.
just like to quickly add, I appreciate Jason's review when he brings us the initial review of where projects are needed. He's not focused on any one particular area of our community, of our city, that he really does try to work on all segments that affect all constituents of our community. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Jerry or Mickey or Jason? Thank you guys for all your work on it. I appreciate that. Does anybody have anything else? I know, are we gonna go back to work sessions, like odd months, second meeting?
Well, I mean, I think we all agreed it was good to have some kind of a schedule like that, so that if something did arise, we could jump right on it. But I did want to suggest, unless someone had a topic that had been discussed previously, and we probably got a lot of work ahead of us talking about the annexation plan, as we've made a lot of changes. And I know the annexation committee actually talked about it many, many months ago. I mean, are you okay with us taking that on as a work session topic, maybe in a couple months when we've had some time to do some due diligence on that and start putting a framework together?
Working on it. I mean, it's gonna be here before we know it, so.
So, I mean, is that something maybe skip this month and maybe look at March?
March, okay.
I mean, I give us a couple months
Yeah.
to, the various committees can work with the department heads and the direction from you
Okay.
and start making some headway on that. 'Cause I mean, I know, previously talking with the chiefs, they've got some needs, and we're gonna have to start addressing them, I guess.
Do you have anything, Lawrence? Okay, we're still working with, Envoy, getting some agreements with them as far as designs with, KJG and HWC on the aquatic center and the police station. So we are moving forward. We're hoping, Scott, do you have anything to say on that?
I need more money.
Oh my gosh. So we're hoping less than a month and a half, we'll be hopefully breaking some ground. So keep our fingers
I
crossed.
don't know about breaking ground, but we hope that would be okay.
Well.
Maybe that shovel out there.
Yeah, yeah, to
You
burst
can
my
go out there,
bubble.
break ground.
Yeah, if I wanna do it, go ahead, right? Okay, does anybody have anything else?
I have a question. Do we need to, I just came out of the utility board meeting and
Oh, you win?
do we need to do anything with that?
We already did. I guess, sorry, we did not mention that. The Board of Works tonight passed the mask mandate part of that. Oh, tell me what it's called. The
Federal
policy, the
ETS.
policy for the ETS.
Okay, I think he got that message that you just passed it.
Yes,
And the utility board also passed it,
yes.
but I don't think anyone on that board was for it.
You know what? I'll just be honest with you. I'm not either.
Well, I think
but-
most of us feel the same way.
Right, I'm not into the mandating people to do things, but OSHA is putting it on us right now, we have to do that. And if we don't do that, they're gonna come in and fine us, and none of us want that kind of a fine. I mean, we were hoping for a stay last
Does the
Friday, but
Supreme Court are they gonna rule on that?
It may be later this week.
I mean, what the Supreme Court
They'll
is,
either grant the stay or deny it.
okay, but what they're doing will affect that OSHA
Oh, yes.
situation.
Yeah.
Okay, because someone said OSHA has their own thing and yes, this is a whole different thing.
Well, OSHA's ETS directive had two options. One was mandatory vaccination for employers that had 100 or more employees, which we do. Or the alternative was COVID-19 vaccination testing and face covering policies.
Right.
So the city went with that one. If the stay is granted, then that policy of the cities could be stayed during the federal stay, or it could be undone, or it could be modified, or whatever. But anyway, it's in place just in case that the stay is not granted. Then at least we've got done what we need to, I think, to comply with OSHA.
So I think that's what she was pretty good about explaining.
The other
that.
thing is, the policy is one thing, enforcement of it is another. So enforcement probably is not a critical factor until February 9th.
But at least if OSHA walks in the door tomorrow or we get contacted, we have something in place. You know, we'd ask them to wear a mask if they're unvaccinated, you know, in a building or in a vehicle with another person. So, I mean, we've done our end of it. We just can't take the risk of getting a fine by OSHA. And who's to say? So anyway, Clarence, I think USB has the same policy
They do.
that we
They
did.
did.
But like I said, if the state is put in place, then I'm sure that we'll probably revisit
But
this.
if they didn't pass it, but the Board of Works passing it would already put us under that anyway, right? The utility. I think it does, because they're part of the city.
What's that?
If the Board of Works passes, is that automatically put that?
Put the utility board under the same policy.
Well, that's an interesting question, because the Indiana code gives the utility service board governance over their employees, but they're nevertheless city employees and on the city payroll. And OSHA seems to carry a large umbrella, any affiliated companies have to be included in this thing. So our conclusion was everybody's in the same boat.
Yeah, I thought, because that was one of the things they discussed for eon time was, well, if the city's already passed it, we're under that umbrella. We don't have to do anything, but they ended up passing it anyway because Alicia said that, we need to follow what the city does because OSHA's going to put us all under one umbrella anyway, so.
And I think that's why we all went down to the line, because it was today.
Yeah.
You keep hoping that we didn't have to do it, but it's kind of,
Supreme Court, come on.
I know, but they didn't come through for us, so. Okay, does anyone have anything else?
Move to adjourn.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. See you in a couple weeks.
Tomorrow. Oh, my God.